I really love my new hat. I actually got two of them. This one is like a material where like if you want to work out, it's like perfect. Or like go play golf. It's like that workout material. Hello. I'm just waiting. I'm going to wait like a couple secs. Hey. I'm going to wait a couple secs to get some more people in here. I'm Giovanni Ferdinand, as a lot of you guys know. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty here in California. I work all over California and I really love my clients. I really love what I do. And I wanted to do this live because there's such a like big, poof in the air or in your mind when you think, oh, I want to start in the homeowner process. And so I've broke it down to 8 steps, and I'm gonna just go ahead and go into it. It's a little bit quiet over here, so I think I'm gonna like put on a little bit of background because yeah. And then also, if you have any questions, there is a question mark right down there. You can ask me anything and I will answer it, but I am going to try to get through all these 8 steps, and that's what we're here for. So, just make sure. All right,
Ready to start eating healthier? Meet Kachava.
Wow.
Kachava.
I'm trying to put on music. Okay, bam. Perfect. All right, so there's 8 steps that I've broken down the whole home buying process. 8 steps, and I want to start with number 1. Number 1 is, it can sound like a little biased, but number 1 is find your realtor. I know that before you go shopping for a home, it's very important to get your lending down and save money and things like that. But when the thought comes into your mind that you want to be a homeowner, it's always great to start talking to an agent and building rapport with them, because that way you could tell whether or not they are helpful, resourceful, and knowledgeable. And so I always say find your realtor first so that you can sift out the ones that you do not want to work with. Now, with that said, I would totally talk to a couple different real estate agents just to get a feel for them, get to know their style, get to know, how you work well with them, and see if they're helpful, resourceful, and knowledgeable. The next step is find your price range. Now, there's a couple ways to go about this. Usually when I talk to someone who has not owned a home yet and they're just kind of looking, I ask them how much they're paying in rent, because that will kind of give them a gist of like their affordability factor as far as how much they're, used to paying monthly on housing. And I'll kind of guesstimate and kind of start looking in the areas that they're interested in to kind of see if that fits together with their price range. The step after that is step number 3. Find your financing. So when you, let's say someone comes to me and they say, oh, I'm paying $900 in rent. And we live here in California. So I know unless you're trying to live in Bakersfield or Fresno, some place that no one ever heard of, like Telechappie or something like that, most likely you're going to be looking at a mortgage that is at least $1,500 to $2,000. So if someone comes to me and they're saying their price range monthly to spend is around that, I will probably send them back to the drawing board of either raising their income, saving more money, or bringing down their debts. And that's where step 3 comes in, find your financing. Because a lot of people are not going to embark on home ownership by just paying for a home full out cash. Even people that have tons of liquid, tons of cash, will put that asset into a mortgage, especially right now because the interest rates are really low. It just makes sense in the long run to leverage that asset within a financing tool. So the step 3 is find your financing. If you have an amazing realtor, they probably have a book of business of people that they know in the lending industry that can help you get pre-approved for a loan. And I always tell people to shop their rates. Banks will give you loans, independent lenders, they do loans, credit unions do loans, and then you've got your like brokers that broker loans. So there's different ways to finance your property. But that is step number 3, and that's a very pivotal part because your financing is probably 80% of what will make or break once you get into escrow, and we'll get to that in later steps. Step number 4. Step number 4 is find your home. So once you have your pre-approval, that's like the fun part of everything. Because now you know how much you could spend, and that determines a lot about location and things like that. So when my clients usually come to me with their pre-approval, I always reach out to whoever is handling their loan. I reach out to the loan officer or the bank and let them know that I'm working with this client, and I like to get the terms in which the loan can close in, so that when it comes to negotiating and writing an offer, I am prepared. So once you have your pre-approval, you show it to me, and then I start probing and searching for homes on and off the market that fit your criteria. So this is like pretty much the fun part. The shopping is always the fun part. All right, so when you find a home that you really, really love, then we get to work and I go ahead and craft an offer for you. Sometimes I have clients that don't want to move into a place right away. In this market, things are very aggressive, so I do always suggest to do a really early closing, which would be like 12, 14 days long in escrow. That would include probably like a really short inspection or no inspection, a short appraisal or no appraisal clause, things of that sort, depending on the property and, overall the specs on the property, what the seller's looking for, what my client is looking for. So we craft the deal. In California, our RPA is very litigious. It is very long, and you definitely want to take your time to read it. Because as a real estate agent, I am not an attorney. I can review the documents with you, but I cannot give you legal advice. So it's always great to take your time as you're going through the documents and signing them. Those documents will say how much you are willing to pay for the home, how long the contingency phases are, which means how long you're going to be inspecting the home and making sure it's right for you. It will also say how you're going to obtain the home, so it will have your financing information, and it will also have other, dialogue in there. Say if you have to go through arbitration, if things go awry, a lot of information in there. And I go through those documents with my clients. So let's see here. Now, when you have your offer accepted, of course your offer is going to be accepted if I wrote it. If you follow all my guidelines, my offers get accepted. Some of my clients kind of go outside those lines, and because of it being such a competitive market, it doesn't necessarily work out for them. But if you follow the expertise of your agent, it's better to do that because we know what's gonna get the home of your dreams. So once your offer is accepted, now you are in escrow. Everyone always thinks escrow is like this really scary word, but really it just means this is the time period in which both parties have to perform different duties in order to get the home sold. So it's kind of like when you go into a store, like say you go into a shoe store and you like the shoes. So you talk to the customer service rep. Oh, I really love these shoes. I'm a size 7 in women's. How much are these shoes? The sales agent says, oh, it's this much. And you're like, oh, okay, great. Well, can I try on this shoe? So escrow is kind of like that. It's that time period where you're trying on the shoe, where the customer service person is helping you see, why the shoe's great. And then you say you like it. So you step into the line to buy the shoes. And once you get to the front of the line, you're pulling out your card. They're giving you a receipt and all that stuff. So escrow is like that middle ground between you owning the home and you making an offer for the home. Sellers during that time frame will disclose different terms about the home, like natural hazard disclosure, if there was there's a whole bunch of, you'll see them. It's called SPQ. And they'll ask the seller all these different things that they may or may not know about the home's condition. So, and then there's the TDS, which is the transfer disclosure statement. So the seller will hand over that information, and I like to get that information as fast as possible. And sometimes, especially in this market, all that information is already filled out. So once I know that information, it's time for me to make sure my buyer is performing, such as getting the EMD into escrow, which is their earnest money deposit, scheduling their inspections, and having their inspections complete before the contingency phase is over. And that's very pivotal because that's the part where you're trying the shoe on, because this, the house may look really nice, just like shoes might look really cute, but until you try it on or until you do your inspections on a home, you may not know if this is the right fit. So let's say you saw some really cute shoes. You're like, oh my gosh, these are really cute. But then you tried them on and you found that they were hurting your foot because there's a little strap that cuts into your ankle. Well, that's the equivalent of you getting an inspection on your home and the inspector's oh, well, there's this plumbing issue or there's this mold issue. You may be a little more reserved about moving forward with that, and there may have to be a whole nother negotiation done, which is why we have to get into step 7, inspections and insurance. So you always want to look and review the inspections, make sure you know the condition of the home, and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Sometimes, especially for investors, some things don't really matter. Let's say some of the electrical outlets aren't working that properly, or let's say there's needs to be an abatement on the ceilings because they're the popcorn ceilings that had asbestos in them. Some investors aren't really caring about all of that because they know they're going to come in spending money and renovating the space, etc. So it really depends on the buyer and what they are comfortable with, and what ultimately how you feel about the information that comes back in the inspections. Another thing is, even if you buy a home that is new, you still want to have warranties and insurances, because just because you inspect a home one day doesn't mean that that home is going to stay in the same condition for the rest of the endurance of you living there. So you want to have insurance, you want to have warranties. It's always important to do. Okay, so after you have did all your inspections and after the seller has performed on their end, it is safe to say that you can move forward. And the part that's usually the last is your loan contingency. Once your money is secured and your lender gives you the clear to close, you can move forward into signing off your closing docs and your loan docs and getting to step 8, which is closing time. Time to celebrate, because once you sign off on those docs and everything is good to go, you've got your keys coming to you. So, those are the 8 steps to homeownership. I'm just going to review. So you've got find your realtor, find your price range, get your lending, find your home. Once you find your home, your agent crafts a deal for you. And once your deal is accepted, you're in escrow. That's step number 6. Step number 7 is inspections and insurance. And step number 8 is closing time. So that in its entirety is the 8 steps to homeownership. And you guys can always reach out to me if you have any questions about any of your living needs. I'm always here to help out. Thank you for coming. It's nice seeing you, Raj. Have a good night.